I think it's impossible for us today to imagine what a revelation the first photographs would have been to people. These mirrors with a memory to record things that looked just like what we saw. People's ideas of time changed completely. For the first time, you would know what your grandparents looked like even if they died before you were born. To see this process make its place in the lives of ordinary people is, to me, the most exciting thing about it. It changed everything.
The term photography in Greek is light drawing. And so when you're drawing with light, you can do it with chemicals, but before photography, you would look at the shadow, you would trace the shadow. The silhouette really is the essence. That's the essence of a person's soul, and people knew that. There were people who could do it freehand, they could cut them. There were people who drew them and then cut them out, and there were machines that helped you to do that.
Long before people were able to fix images, there was the desire to fix an image, and there were a number of technologies commonly practiced that prefigured the images that we would later figure out how to fix chemically.
Camera obscura means dark room. And if you have a room with no light and you poke a little hole in the side of that room and you let light in from the outside, by miracle, you'll have an image projected upside down, turned around, but in color and moving on the other side of the wall. And people think of this as pinhole camera.
It's a phenomenon that people have been aware of for thousands and thousands of years. It's easy to do. It's very often the first project that is taught in photography classes, just as a way to get people to understand the simplicity of what the camera is.
In 1814, 1815, you have a man named Nicéphore Niepce. And what he discovered was that asphalt was sensitive to light. He'd paint the solution on a piece of glass and put an engraving on a piece of paper on top of that, and where the light shined through and exposed that asphalt, it hardened. If you put that piece of glass with the asphalt into a solvent, into turpentine, it will remove the areas that weren't hardened. The earliest photograph we know is on a piece of pewter made by Nicéphore Niepce. It's a view from a window. It's from the 1820s, and this image made by asphalt still exists. So that's the invention of photography. Niepce knows that he's onto something, and he takes Louis Daguerre on as a partner. Daguerre was a very famous entrepreneur. Daguerre himself wants to make images. He understands how a camera obscura works. By 1839, Daguerre has a system that is fully realized. The French government essentially buys his process. It's perfect. The first step was to polish it, and you have to polish it very well, to the point where you have a polish that when you turn the plate towards a darkened room, it looks black. And it's fumed with iodine, and when you take it out of the box, it's yellow. That's silver iodide. The plate is then put into a camera obscura, or we would say camera now, but a camera obscura. Given enough time, it's exposed. When you take it out of the camera in a darkened room, there's nothing to see on the plate. Completely invisible, same yellow coating. But when you put it in another box with a little container of mercury and heat the mercury, the fumes of the mercury dance upon the plate, and when you withdraw that from the box, you have an image. You still have to fix the image, and fixing is a strange term. It basically means that you're preventing the plate from changing any more as light strikes the plate, and you place it into a solution that fixes it. It's something that we now all call hypo. The daguerreotype is placed into a special case. It's designed to keep air away from the plate, because air is what makes silver tarnish.
The French government regarded the invention of the daguerreotype as a gift to the civilization of the world, and therefore they had Daguerre write a manual and give demonstrations of the process, and the news was electrifying.
So what you got with the daguerreotype was a unique, singular image produced as a positive on a very delicate, highly polished metal plate.
We We're in the photography vault at George Eastman House. This is where all of our photo collections are stored. And here we have our wall of daguerreotypes. We have one of the largest collections of daguerreotypes in the world, over 3,500 daguerreotypes, including 1,500 French daguerreotypes, which is the largest collection of French daguerreotypes outside of France. The daguerreotype is both a negative and a positive image at the same time.
Well, I think really to see a daguerreotype and get the full effect, you have to be holding it. It's an intimate thing, it's reflective, so you're using your clothing to try to reflect something back so that you're not seeing yourself necessarily, and sometimes you do see yourself, and it's kind of makes you part of the object. With daguerreotypes, there's infinite detail. There's nothing blocking the light hitting the surface of the plate that you are seeing. That the light that came from the sitter is exactly what hits the plate that you're holding in your hands or seeing on a wall or seeing in a display at a museum.
It's a very, very permanent process, much more so than all the processes that we grew up with. I can take you to an antique shop that's 15 minutes from here, and we can find a daguerreotype made in the 1850s. And guess what? They're still in perfect condition.